Hey everyone, my name is Carmen and welcome back to another episode of CodeFights. So on this show, we invite in a couple of guest developers to come and try and solve a coding problem all within 15 minutes. At the end of the 15 minutes, they'll get to present their solutions and I will pick a winner. Now the trick is, we're not going to let them run their spec suite, so they won't know if their code passes all the tests until the very end. This is going to be tons and tons of fun, so don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and that notification bell so that you don't miss out on our upcoming episodes. All right, and we're back again for another episode of CodeFights. I have with me Terry, Trav, and Rick from the last episode. So this time, why don't we start with Terry? Why don't you tell us about yourself?
Hi there, my name is Terry. My parents call me Terrence. I'm a front-end developer, primarily using React. It's really fun, really great. And you can find my love handles at Terrence Strong. That's my GitHub, LinkedIn, and Twitter.
Great. Trav?
Sweet. Hi, I'm Travis. I am a front-end developer at Okendo, mainly working with Angular. And you can find my Twitter at @tkellicoolio. Yeah.
I'm Rick. You can find me on the internet at some regular places, using the handle Rick, R-I-C, Lavers, L-A-V-E-R-S. All right.
Cool. So today our Code Wars question is called String Incrementer. I've left the link to this problem in the description below, but if you want to fast forward through the guys coding for the next 15 minutes, I've also left the timestamp down below so you can actually see their solution straight away. So for the question today, your job is to write a function which increments a string to create a new string. If the string already ends with a number, the number should be incremented by 1. If the string does not end with a number, the number 1 should be appended to the new string. If the number has leading zeros, the amount of digits should be considered. I will say that the example tests don't fully encapsulate everything. So guys, this time round, this question might be a little bit more challenging than last time. So good luck. Cool. So I have with me here front-end developers Alex Gearing and Luke Thompson, who are my colleagues at Valiant, and they're going to be providing a bit of commentary on the guys' code. So,
all right, jump straight in.
Yeah.
So I've been led to believe that this function needs to take some numbers out of a string. So there's going to be a lot of working with having to pass through a string. We might see a bit of regex in this episode, so I'm interested to see what the guys come up with. Generally, when you're dealing with having to go through a lot of strings, the best thing to do is to try and really hone down on what you're trying to get. I can see that first straight up, Rick has already set t equals string 01. Like a really easy test case, he can solve for that one, and then maybe move on to something a little bit trickier later. Trav, still having a look at a bit of the source material, pretty smart. No, it's a good way to do it. Because if you're rushing too fast, you may realize that you're having to spend more of your time unraveling the code that you've already built. We have a first Google of the day, JavaScript check if string number is number.
Right.
So not surprisingly, is nan has come up, is not a number. Probably not so important for this one, but is nan is much more important in case you literally need to know if the object you're looking at is data type, not a number, because in JavaScript you need to have a function for that. Going with Rick, he's gone straight for a split on each character. This will return him an array of every single character in his string. Not a bad approach at all if he wants to do a recursive function over each character. In this case though, considering we're just looking for numbers, it may be more appropriate to just rip the numbers out of the string or identify where the numbers are in the string before running any sort of recursive function over it. That might make things a bit more performant. But at the same time, because we need to preserve where the number is in the string, I imagine what he'll finish up with here is he's splitting the string, he'll then join the string back together again at the end of the function. The dot reverse is a very interesting run.
Where he's going with that.
I'm assuming I'm assuming this function is for him to get the last number. So he's going to reverse the string and then go through the reverse of the string and try and find the first instance of a number. interesting approach.
It's going to make incrementing it really tricky.
It's going to make a lot of it really tricky, but that's the exciting part of being on this side of the screen. I get to watch how he figures that out or learns for it for himself. We got a bit of console going on Trav. For those who can't see, is myString.split, so he's gone the same way to take every character. Although instead of reversing his string, he's now going for a map function, taking in the character and the index. That's a pretty sound approach to do this, I reckon. Again, we need to preserve where those numbers are, so he's going to need to have that context of the index of each character in his string. So not a terrible way to go about it, and then Terry has found what I thought he was going to find, which is parseInt, which you have experience using parseInt.
Yep.
What does it do?
Passing the string into an int.
Cool.
That's about it.
What happens if you put a string with numbers into a parseInt?
A string with numbers?
Yeah.
Or a string with...
Would you get nan, or would it rip out the numbers?
A string... Oh God, I can't remember.
Because there's definitely one, because there's two parsing...
I always get that a number mixed up.
Yeah, so there's two... So the reason we're bickering is in JavaScript there are two ways that you can coerce something into a number. You can use the parseInt function, which takes in a string and outputs a number type integer. You can also use literally the number constructor, in which you pass a string and it spits out a number. One of them, though, when you pass in something which isn't a number, will just reject it with not a number.
I think that's the parseInt one.
You think that? Okay.
Yeah, I believe that's parseInt. We'll come back with not a number.
Oh! Reduce!
Hey. I don't think any of them are going for a regex approach, though.
No, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Regex is a way that we can identify patterns or instances of patterns. For example, it can be a really simple pattern, like just return me every single lowercase letter in a word. In this case, it could be return me every digit, or even return me the last digit in a string. The beautiful part of it is that it's very good. Is that when you run a regex over a string, it does it recursively over each character, so you can actually get the context of which character it is come up with a match for, and therefore if you needed to do a quick replace, like changing a 1 to a 2, it wouldn't be too hard to do that in a regex match sort of way. So I would either go with that or a similar method to what I can see Rick is doing, which is the string.split. Oh, not Rick, I meant Trav. He's doing the reverse, which is still confusing me. He's found for each this time. I remember last time I was seeing Rick's work, he was using a map, which is and then not returning anything, which is one way to use a map, to return a empty array. Going back to Trav, he has gone with the split approach, so he's going character by character, and then he's using findIndex. That function will return the index of whatever satisfies the function. So v is his value of each character in his array. So that, like, if the array was string 01, like it is on Rick's string, he'll have value will be s. And then he'll probably test against it to see if it's a digit. Check if character is number. There it is.
Right on time.
Right on time. I'm interested to see what Google suggests for this, because I would probably use a regex, which I can see that he's got there.
There we go.
There you go. Which is that 30 upvote one, and that is that syntax with the two slashes is the regex, and then .test is actually a method that's on the regex prototype in JavaScript, which does exactly what we're saying. It looks through the string that you pass into the .test function and lets you know true or false whether or not you've got a match. That's about all there is to it. Terry, going down to Terry's screen, he's using a lot of console. He's got a function which he's calling increment string, using quite a recent implementation using the spread syntax on a string. That gives him back the exact same array that the other two guys have got by using string.split. So all three guys are actually deciding to go with the character by character method, basically coercing their string into an array and then doing something with that array to output a new string. which is very interesting. If you had a similar problem, how would you go about it, Luke?
I'd definitely go for a regex up front. So I think you can do a regex where you're looking for characters at the end of a string
You can.
and just search for digits at the end of a string, pull those out, work out the length of it as a string so I know how many zeros I need to put back into it, and then coerce it into a number, increment it, and then add the zeros back in, slip it back into my original string. That's how I'd probably approach this one.
I think one of the hardest parts of this particular challenge is the fact that you have to deal with 9s. And whenever you come to a 9, then you have 2 digits to change.
Yeah, well that's why I'd be look at how long the number is at the end of the string. So say it's 001, that would come back with 3. And then I would compare that to my result after I've incremented it, and then work out how many zeros I need to put back in based off that.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
There you go. Going back to the guys up on the screens, we've got Trav, who is going with who is doing the find index approach. He's then checking to see if yeah, that's a very
work how he expects.
No, that's a really interesting approach. So what Trav is trying to do in his find index function is figure out whether his find the index in the array of his word that is a number. And what he's done for it is he's passed a v in, and then he's returning. So it's automatically returned because he's using that arrow function syntax. And then you get this weird equals greater than equals, which is weird. But what he's doing is he's basically saying is v, so is like the letter s or the number or the letter 0, greater than or equal, the string 0, greater than or equal to the string 0, and which is delineated by the speech marks he's put it in. Although when you compare a string to a string like that, you can't do a greater than on a string, can you?
Oh, you might be able to. It's JavaScript. Like I know if you compared 2 characters, like A and B, you would get A depends what the character code is. So I believe B is greater than A. So I assume it would work the same sort of way for digits, right? But
yes, there's a good chance you are right there.
Definitely
so,
Google for that.
Yeah, that would be a quick Google. I'd probably just jump to console, do a quick A greater than B. Does that work? I can see that down on the bottom left, Terry is trying to figure out how to convert a number to string. Funnily enough, you just wrap it in speech marks. And that's the easiest way to coerce something straight into a string. You can use a function called toString,
yeah.
which I imagine is probably what he will come up with.
Yep, that's what he's got right there.
Oh, too easy. There you go. So yeah, that's one way to do it. And so it looks like what he's doing is he's using reduce, which is Luke's favorite function. Check num, pass integer current. Okay, so he's passing each letter of his word into a function which checks to see if which will basically coerce it into a number if it can. It then he's then checking to see if he does in fact have a number by checking the type of that check number. And then I'm not sure what he's doing because he's now looking for the last item in. Please don't tell me he's going to say array. Last item in reduce. Interesting.
I'll find out if he's on the last thing that he's iterating over. Sorry, I'm getting tied up in what his Google search is.
You can pass the index into reducer, can you?
I think so, yeah.
The opposite of push, which is fantastic. Is he looking for pop? What? So we're up with Rick right now, who is looking for the opposite of push. Unshift, our favorite. So what is he trying to do here? 1, 2, 3, unshift 2. So what is that unshift actually doing? It's obviously not what he actually wanted. We'll come back to him. Opposite of push. So push just adds an item to the back of an array. So what he wants to do is remove the last item of an array, he can use a .pop function, But I don't think that is what he's trying to do here. So we'll see what happens with him. Over with Trav, he's now realized that you can pass a string into the number constructor. I can see in his console. And he's realized that if you pass something like 001 into that constructor, you can then add 1 to it and do whatever you need to do. So he's cranking along, no worries there. Going down to Terry, good old Terry. Terry, I think it was Rick last time who had the terrible console formatting. But it looks like formatting has become more of a feature in these episodes, which is fantastic. He was, when we left off him before, trying to see whether or not each value of his word array was a number, which he's now done with the type of check number. That does look like it would work to me. He's then going ahead and adding 1 to that, and then returning it to the accumulator. So he's taking each time he finds a number in his string, he is taking that number, and then he's accumulating. That's really weird. So what it looks like Terry is going to end up with is all the numbers added together plus 1, which I'm not sure is what we are looking for in this challenge. If array length is equal to index minus 1, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and then he's got to check at the end of his function, which is to check if he's on the last value. And then he returns the accumulator plus count. So he's adding all his numbers together. I have a feeling like Terry may have gone down, may have misunderstood the question.
I don't think that type of check num is going to work either. He's doing type check num equals not a number.
So check num is passing the current character, and because he's going 1 character at a time, I think it would work.
Right.
It wouldn't work if he was doing the whole string at once. And now he's got it. Now he's got it properly in the editor, so we can properly see it. Yeah, very interesting. Using a reduce is probably not the way I would do this, even though reduce is one of our favorite functions.
Alrighty, so first up we're going to have last episode's reigning champion present his code. So Trav, show us what you got.
Alright. I don't like this problem at all. But let's run through what I wanted to do, not what I am doing, because what I am doing is not working at all. So basically I get the string, which would look like a, most of the time I'm guessing, a string with sometimes a number attached to the end. Split that with that array of letters. That is what it is. I find the index, and with what I do is pass the function of basically wherever the first number of that string is, it returns that index to me. I then split that string based on that index. So basically, I will get like the foo in the first part of the value, and then the number on the second. And then with that value of just the number, I wanted to add 1. Everything after this line is just me refreshing, but I wanted to add 1, but there was a problem with that because 1, it is a string. Another one is sometimes the value would be 0001, so or 00 whatever, and if I were to basically make sure that was a number, it will get rid of the zeros and just give me the number. So yeah, none of this. Yeah, don't worry about these lines. Just wanted to that's me. We have to run it.
Yes, we do. All right, cool. So if you want to minimize that.
Minimize and...
I love your display pic.
Please.
Really nice. You look cute.
There we go, run sample tests. All right, so 1 pass.
I've got 1 pass.
1. Excellent. All right, so we got 1 passing. Do you guys have any comments?
Yeah, I like the approach. Yeah.
Thank you.
It was a fun index.
I feel like it was almost there.
Yeah, the hardest part was just finding the right functions that I didn't know substring. I knew what substring was. I just didn't know either of these functions. because you can see my Google's up top. Check if character is a number, split string and index. Yeah, but
All right.
other than that, yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. So Trav has passed one of the tests. Let's see how the others do.
Wasn't even thinking about passing the test.
Alrighty, so we saw Trav's answer. Let's see what Rick has done for us.
So mine's not working either. But I'll run you through what I was trying to do, and I might make a tiny little change to see if that works.
He's still going.
Okay. So basically, what I did was I got this string and I split it and then reversed it.
I think that's clever.
So then basically my idea was that if you pass int, which is getting the number out of a string, and it's got letters in it, then it will sort of, it will give you a nan. So I figured that as long as it wasn't nanning from the reversed, then it's a valid number on the end. So that was kind of what I was doing, but then I got kind of confused. And it was doing stuff, but it was like jumbling everything up.
Like in any order, or was it
Yeah,
just
no,
random?
it's like it was doing a test 1, 2, 3, 4, and it was coming back 1, 3, 2, 1. Or something, and I was just like, why? And then we ran out of time.
So where does the addition actually occur?
Well, the addition would occur down here, like that, and then it would be like, it'd be like, I don't know, maybe something like this, and then we'll do like one of them, and one of them, and then we might put in like the rest of the number.
Is this that small little change you were going to do?
Maybe it would be like the string would be in here, and you'd sort of like dot substring, and then you'd do like the start of it, but then like minus like the current number.
I
want another 15
feel
minutes?
like
Got link.
I'm gonna have to start deducting points now, Rick. All right, so guys, do you have any thoughts on Rick's?
No, I think it's good. I think it's changed from what he described, but it's fine.
Maybe that would work. I don't know.
Did any of you guys actually think about reversing the way?
No, I thought that was really clever.
No?
I thought
Yeah.
we were reversing. I was like, that was the first thing I was thinking, like, oh, and then that was really clever.
Yep. Okay. So let's run those tests.
No. No, just a lot of
Okay.
logs there.
Okay.
Might as well give it an attempt.
That's. Yeah. Okay.
Zero.
So.
Zero pass. So yeah, no, zero pass. But to me, I didn't really have time to finish it, and what was different?
Yeah, you had more time than anyone.
Well, anyway, and the difference is like I was trying to just get like that number part. I was focusing on that. So Travis kind of was like, "Oh, I'll return something."
I think we
Just
both
thinking
did.
about how you return something. I was just thinking, get that number, and then you were like doing a countdown. Here we are.
Okay. All right. So.
Why can't you do a count up?
Definitely better counting down. All right, so unfortunately we have 0 tests passing that time round, but we're going to go see if Terry has fared any better. All right, so let's move over to Terry and see how he answered this question.
Like everyone, it doesn't work. But there's like a skeleton there of a solution. But no, it doesn't work. So like the previous one, again, we do this all the time for work. We have to make sure we add number 1 to a string. It's all very common.
You do the check num as well.
Yeah, so really I just, again, turn that string to an array. And then I was thinking, okay, well, I really like what Rick did with the reverse and checking with the number first. So I was like, that was kind of the problem. But I thought, okay, if I kind of get by reducing it, I can kind of check each one and just build it on and see if it's a number. So here, this will kind of just take the current value and just turn into a number or an NaN as well. This is going to take care of like if there is no number, and this last index is like the last character, and if there's no number, then just add 1. And then this here was like, all right, well, if it is a number, then, you know, add that number together and then add it to the accumulator. So if it was like HE 0, then it'll go, okay, cool, I'll add a 1 to it. But this won't work because, you know, what happens if the string is like HE 0, B, C 0, and so it'll run this, so that's not very good. And then, yeah, I just return it here, and so then, yeah, that's kind of what I was going to do. But yeah, there's still more little cases I need to check.
Do you guys have any comments?
Similar approach. You can see it's unfinished. So.
Thanks.
Well, he did have 15 minutes less than you.
No, we did it. We all had the same amount of time.
Oh yeah.
I just coded a bit in the show notes. It still didn't work.
All right, can we actually minimize for a second and just have a look at the actual tests that they've given us? Sorry, yeah. So, for the tests that are here, Terry, which of these do you reckon are actually going to pass?
I think the last one. And maybe the second one.
Yeah, I was about to say the second one might. Okay. All right, great. Let's run those sample tests and see what happens.
Attempt.
No.
Oh, okay.
I think it's this last thing here. It's this check here.
Well, you can't touch it now.
You of all people.
It's like undefined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can't undefined.
If you do type of check num equals nan, doesn't nan have to be a string?
But yeah, I cancelled that out, so I didn't really think of it. But it worked in the console, so that's a bit annoying.
Does your reduce? Does it always have one argument?
The accum will be your first letter, so it'll be H. In this case, it'll be F. And so I'm just adding that.
But is that within the function that you pass through? Like, shouldn't there be an accumulator after the function?
I mean, you can start with it. You can do something like this, and it'll build onto an array.
Oh, okay.
But
I just thought that was required, but
Yeah.
if not, then.
But yeah, the function's probably not running, which is weird because it was.
What output are you getting?
I don't know.
Oh, undefined. Everything's
Yeah,
undefined.
exactly. So that's annoying.
No. I think it's the. I think you need to set an empty string as the initial
You might be right. Actually.
accumulator.
We'll go there. Nah, might be doing something wrong.
still.
So, but if we open up the console,
And then, are you changing it to a number and then adding that to the string? Because you can't add like a string.
but then you turn it back into a string. So this check num is a number because it's been passed int, and then that's
to
added
string.
one, and then to string, and then returning that. So,
Just adding it to the accumulator.
and then adding it to the accumulator. So which is a string. So, but it might be breaking somewhere in the sense that like, yeah.
Oh well.
Oh well.
All
right,
See how the people.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I don't think you can if we haven't actually submitted the solution. That's okay though. So again, this question is going to be in the description below. So if you want to give it a go, see if you fare a little bit better than the guys here. I am going to have to give this round, I believe, to Trav again, given that he did get the final spec passing and he got the number one.
It didn't change anything in it. It's a string.
Shut up! It worked.
Hey, he got one spec passing.
That's not an accurate thing. I was closest to doing it. I had a reverse.
I did. I returned mine plus the number. Right?
Wait.
Terry and
How
Al's
many?
together.
Yeah, how many tests did pass, Rick, for you?
That's what
I
I
think the
thought.
test like completely errored out. Like it didn't even give me a test output. It just
did.
it just crashed.
Alrighty, thank you very much for joining us for this episode. Don't forget.
Wait, I think because it was in here, so that's why, because it's increment string and increment string. This could be a little. Do you see this function's in that function? So. If I,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, this could be a little.
All right. Okay,
hello.
we will give
Hello.
Terry the opportunity to.
Thank you kindly. Alright, let's see what happens.
How did that happen?
Only because Rick
I
got
think I
like
copied-
another
I think I
15 minutes
copied
on top
I
of
think I
it.
copied-
From console log to this.
Yeah.
It's another 15
It's the
seconds.
last, very last one.
Let's get rid of this. Also, for anyone listening, I think it helps doing some sort of code, but hopefully something passes. Yeah. Oh, whoa, look at that!
It's doing shit.
Well, yeah, that's,
Not enough. Oh, that's good.
That's a lot of not a numbers.
It's almost like the Batman theme song. JavaScript.
Alrighty, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and the notification bell. We've got a couple of really exciting episodes coming up, and we can't wait to see you at the next one. Thank you.